Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Leslie, roll call, please. Here.
Amanda Grubler.
Here.
Kirsten Gustafson. Absent. Willette Jones is absent. Calvin Lewis.
Here.
Matthew Mackler.
Here.
And Lakia Walker.
Here.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Brings us to our student representative report.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first up, this Thursday, our mock trial team has its county finals. We previously had not received our scoring from our past competitions, but as of, I think, last Wednesday, we did. And now we know we're in the county finals, which will be this Thursday in the courthouse in Hudson, the Columbia County Courthouse, at the park with the gazebo thing. It'll be in there with an actual judge, with a bailiff, with a court clerk. It'll be very official, and we're very excited. Last meeting, I talked about our Model UN competition at Bard College, and I'm pleased to announce that it went very well. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but two of our delegates won Outstanding Delegate, which is like the second place, and another one won Delegation Commendation, which is almost like a third place. There were only two committees, so the fact that Hudson took second place in both of them is very, very impressive. Today, Envirothon presented to a Columbia County Department of Environmental Conservation's member, and this was sort of a practice for their competition in May, I'm pretty sure. As for our sports, today was, I think, track's first track meet, if I'm correct. I think it was their first one. At least I think it was the first one here. It's probably still going on right now. But yeah, our tennis team is currently 2-2. And as a reminder, no one on the tennis team has played tennis before, or at least in an official capacity. I'm on the team. It's a lot of fun. Very proud of how our team is doing. Yeah, our baseball team is also doing quite well. As for future events, coming up, the Student Council will be hosting, again, as we did last year, the Meet the Board Candidates Night. Tentatively, this night is set for May 15th at 6 p.m. However, this is not confirmed yet. The petitions for potential candidates is due April 30th. So once that day passes and we have all of the potential candidates, we will reach out and confirm their availability for the state. The event is completely voluntary. We got great public support last year. It was live streamed. People seemed to really enjoy it, and the candidates also seemed to get a great deal out of it. Also in our sociology class, the past week and into the start of this week, seniors have been sending out their sociology surveys. So this is a part of a research project that each individual senior designs. They create a research question, a hypothesis, and they create survey questions which are sent out either throughout the district or just to high schoolers. There's going to be an expo for the findings of these surveys on April 25th in the high school library, and you are all invited. It's a public expo. Parents, public are all welcome to come. The 25th, April 25th. And I think some of my favorite news is that we have break next week. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much. Good luck at the mock trial finals.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a presentation from Cradle to Career by Greater Hudson Promise Neighborhood.
Thank Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure how I access the presentation, but
I didn't receive a.
I sent a PDF.
Do you
If
have a
not, can I
video?
get on Canva on here? Like online?
Yeah, you know.
I don't.
I sent it. Canva would be perfect. Where's the mouse? Hopefully this works.
It's just a video. She didn't send it to me, but there's a video and everything.
Open the app on iPhone. It's a presentation. It's not on there. Okay. Oh, yep, that's good. Can I just exit it now? Okay. If I forward it. It was sitting in my drafts. My apologies. It's like I know I did it this morning. Here it is. The attachment came through. No, it's an attachment. Can I log into my Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay, this would be the easiest.
Could we do the field trip presentation and then flip back to her since that's what
I think they need the same computer.
Oh,
Looks like they're close.
we're close.
Committees?
Was it?
Committees?
Sure.
Okay. We got it. I want this to open as a PDF though. Yeah, does it have it on here? 'Cause it's not showing.
Raheem.
That should work.
Oh, are you in?
Yeah, it's here.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Here we
Okay.
go.
Thank you, Raheem.
Can everyone hear okay? Hi, so I'm Joan Hunt, Executive Director of Greater Hudson Promise Neighborhood, and Dr. Pennyman asked me to come talk a little bit about our Cradle to Career work that we're doing here in Hudson. So I'll start with just a little bit of history. Born and raised in Columbia County, I started working here in Hudson in 2006 when I started a music program at the local Boys and Girls Club, the youth center now, and have just been working here in some capacity for the duration of that time. I came to the Promise neighborhood in 2012, right after they received the federal grant, and have sort of seen the, the transition of the project since then. So I'm going to talk through a little bit of that today and then focus on the Cradle to Career Coalition and then answer any questions that you all may have. So just a little bit about our mission, which has evolved over the years, but we strive to build an equitable community by providing opportunities along the Cradle to Career continuum for individuals and families impacted by systemic oppression and failures. And we do believe that every family in our community will be supported and given the opportunity to grow, learn, and thrive. We adhere very strictly to these core values that really guide all of our work and our programming and our interaction with the youth and families that we work with. So I'm not going to read them one by one, but those are really what sustain us in this work and inform any decisions we make moving forward in what we do. Just a little bit of early history here at a glance. So in 2011 is when Hudson received the planning grant. We were one of 15 communities across the nation that year that received this grant under the U.S. Department of Education. And it was Obama and Jeffrey Canada that came together and decided, you know, if the Harlem Children's Zone can really succeed in their Cradle to Career continuum in Harlem, why can't we try this across the country in different ways and focusing on place? So there are Promise neighborhoods in Berea, Kentucky, in San Francisco, all over the country that look very different. And so for us here in Hudson, it was about how do we bring stakeholders together from youth and families all the way to our elected officials and everyone in between to decide where are the gaps and where are the opportunities along this continuum. And so over the past 13, 14 years, we've really focused on building those partnerships and trying to address some of those gaps, some by ourselves, some in partnership with other organizations. So AmeriCorps was one of our big wins early on in partnership with the Mental Health Association, and that original model was based on the Harlem Peacemakers program, which was directly from the Harlem Children's Zone, and we got to work with them a lot early on in our planning process. We evolved from, you may recognize someone in this picture, just to show you how long we've been around. You see Lakia and her daughter Mariah on the left at one of our very first community cleanups, and then over the years, we've made sure we take that picture every year to kind of show the growth. But we have one coming up, May 16th, for anyone that wants to come volunteer. But yeah, we've really evolved from being in a storefront on 2nd Street, which is now the Rolling Grocer, to having 2 locations on Warren Street. One to the right is in the First Presbyterian Church on the lower level, and the one that you see here is 364 Warren Street, which used to be the Register Star building, and we're now upstairs and in the downstairs of that space. So we've really kind of grown our operations and our locations along the way as well. I won't go into each one of these. I'm trying to just give an overview of what they are, but our 5 areas of impact are direct support and resources, community and collaboration, individual and systems advocacy, education and professional development, as well as legal system reform. And so all of these programs and initiatives on the left fall into one of those areas of impact. Some there's overlap, but generally they kind of fit into some of those categories. So I will give a brief overview of some of those moving forward, and then our actual geographic area of impact has changed as well. When we started the Promise neighborhood in 2011, 2012, it was just the school district, but over time we've seen so many of our families be pushed out of the area, and we didn't want to lose those relationships and connections, and so our programming has sort of spilled out into other areas of the county as well. For example, our initiative for children of incarcerated parents, we were seeing families incarcerated, or families having loved ones incarcerated at the county jail that didn't only live in Hudson, so it kind of forced us to push our work outside of just the school district, but this is still very much our hub and our home. So just a glimpse at our early learning program. We run a Monday through Friday program from 10 to 12 at our location on Warren Street for 0 to 5-year-olds. It's a drop-in program, and it's not licensed or anything. It operates under 3 hours, and it's really aimed at bringing parents and their young children in. We do STEAM projects, there's read-alouds, some literacy activities, and it's really to get kids that don't have the opportunity to engage in a formal program, just some socialization and some exposure to learning and literacy in the absence of formal programs. So that's been great, and it allows us to engage the parents, which is great. We also coordinate a literacy network across the county that includes 19-20 partners, strictly talking about early learning and literacy, just because we know that's such a huge need and definitely impacts the district as you have kids coming into pre-K and kindergarten. We also have an early learning traveling program, which is aimed to go out to some of the more rural areas of the county to reach kids. Our Team TAM after-school program operates actually year-round. So during the school year, it's Monday through Friday, 2:30 to 5:30. We have busing directly from the school district to our location on Warren Street, and then we have transportation to drive the kids home. In the summertime, it turns into an after Oakdale program. Again, we coordinate with Oakdale to transport the kids from Oakdale to our location. So it's really providing families with a full day of care, which is great. And these are just some stats around the kids that we serve in that program primarily. And we've been working with some of the same kids since they were 4, and now they're 12, 13, 14. And we have really incredible opportunities for our kids, from tennis, like you mentioned, to circus, photography, 4-H, Flying Deer Nature Center, yoga. The kids had a radio show, which was really fun over the past several weeks. So we try to give them opportunities that they may not have had otherwise, and provide that access to them through our programming. Beyond GED is a relatively new program for us, and this really came out of a need we were seeing with kids that were not successful in the district, dropping out and kind of just lost, many of whom were engaging in risky behaviors, getting involved with low-level misdemeanors and felonies, kids we had relationships with along the way. So we were able to bring them in through our Beyond GED program. This is actually a kid that graduated, Josh Wallace, who has successfully completed his GED actually within 6 weeks of enrolling in the program, which was incredible. There are incentives for them to be there, because if we don't give them that, we find that we struggle with engagement in the same way that they probably struggled in some other settings as well. So they do receive a paid stipend for hours that they study. We provide meals on study days, as well as transportation to and from tests, and personalized support, so goal setting for each individual student, and really wraparound supports that aren't just about completing the GED, but what's next and what's beyond that. So our enrollment has grown tremendously from 1 or 2 students to now we have 19. Actually, I think we're pushing 21 at this point. But yeah, so that program has been incredibly successful in getting kids to complete their GED. Transportation, which again is a close partnership with the school district. Dr. Pennyman mentioned we're able to provide transportation daily for a preschool student who would otherwise not be able to get to school every day. So with this van that many of you have probably seen all over the place, we provide transportation to school, to after-school programs, after school to home, summer programming, and we partner with other organizations locally to help with transportation as well. We also have a robust emergency assistance and rental assistance program. For example, this year alone, we've already distributed $86,000 in rental assistance, and that just demonstrates the housing crisis that we're all in right now, and it's really about keeping families stably housed and local to their district, to their community, and not in motels out of county and, just, without the resources and the community that they rely on. So rental assistance, discretionary assistance, funeral assistance. We do an emergency air conditioner program as well. We also run the Hudson Up Basic Income Pilot, which provides 128 people in Hudson with $500 a month for 5 years. So that program has been hugely transformative for many people. And we are now expanding to a Berkshire County Community Foundation guaranteed income, which will serve the entire county. 2 individuals per 21 townships will be receiving $500 a month for 2 years. In addition to that, we have a credit building initiative that kind of connects to the guaranteed income, because we don't want folks to not have the resources to actually build upon what they're receiving. With Hudson Up, it's voluntary, but we do have that available as well. In addition to an internet access through Unity Now, which is a local internet service provider, actually started by Hudson High School graduate Shaheen DeJesus, and so we've connected with them to provide referrals as well. Many of you have probably heard of CoHost, which is the Columbia County Hudson Out of School Time Collaborative, which we also coordinate. It's 28 partner organizations that serve students in the district. It includes anyone that works with youth in the community, pretty much. And we meet monthly to coordinate which programs are happening, how to not overlap, what funding opportunities are available. We talk about data, we do professional development. We have a co-host retreat coming up, which will provide free training to all of our out-of-school time providers. So we coordinate that, as well as the Youth Prevention Network, which has sort of morphed into our team focusing on attendance, since we know that's a concern for the district, and us attending the district's attendance meetings as well as the task force. We also do systems and individual advocacy and systems reform, which includes some individual advocacy as well as systems-wide advocacy, really focusing on what impacts the families that we serve. So I could get into all these, but it will take a while. So just know that we are advocating for changes to systems that impact the people that we serve. The initiative for children of incarcerated parents has been a huge undertaking for us and resulted in us changing the way visits happen at the Columbia County Jail. So you'll see a mural to the left, which was one of the efforts to sort of make the visiting room at the jail more child-friendly for visits that were happening. And we now, children don't have to visit behind a glass barrier anymore. We can actually bring them in. They can sit on their parents' lap and interact with them, play games, do homework, read books. So it's really transformed the way visits happen, and it's also being replicated in other county jails across New York State. And finally, Dr. Pennyman asked me to come talk about today, but I felt like I had to give some context, was the Cradle to Career Coalition. So as part of our collaborative building work that we do, we felt it would be really important to bring together some key high-level stakeholders across the community to all work towards common goals as a collective. And so we've only had one meeting so far, but it's a great group of folks that seem really committed to moving the needle on these outcomes, improving early childhood development, enhancing K-12 education, just focusing on what we can work on together all the way from early childhood to college and career, because they're all interconnected. The issues that they're having at Columbia Green are directly impacted by the lack of early learning opportunities, and I know you see it here firsthand. So the goal here is to just bring folks together and decide on what we can do as a collective to move the needle on some of these issues. So I think that's community building is another thing that we do. I mentioned the cleanup, and these are some other events that we have. But the team that we have really makes all of this possible. Many of them are Hudson High School graduates and local to the community. So they're super important to everything that we do. And if you'd like to learn more, here's more information. And I can also send this PowerPoint to you, Leslie. But happy to answer any questions or clarify anything that I've spoken about.
Thank you very much.
With it starting with a federal grant from the Department of Education, what does the funding look like now?
No more federal funding.
Yeah.
So it was a one-time grant, planning grant, for $500,000. We stretched it out over 2 years, and then they said, if this is important to you guys, figure it out. So we went sort of from this large federal grant to a grassroots organization overnight, and have just been building up kind of organically over the past 13, 14 years.
So is it mostly just like local fundraising?
Yeah, and in this moment, I feel really lucky that it's a lot of local funding. So we have some state funding and some county funding, but mostly we're supported by local foundations and grants from some larger foundations. But yeah, that's where most of our funding, about 75% of our funding comes from.
Thank you.
Sure.
I had
Yeah,
another question.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm assuming that wasn't all the students, but said you're currently servicing 35 students in.
That's just in our after-school program.
Okay.
Yeah. So annually, we serve about 2,000 people across all of our programs.
And I'm wondering, is there space in your program?
No, we wish. So we have a pretty long waiting list for most of our programs, and that's just due to space restraints mostly. So yeah, but the great thing about this community is that there are so many programs. So there's the after-school program here, there's the youth department, there's Kite's Nest, there's Perfect 10. There's so many different avenues, and we're pretty well connected to most of them that we can kind of refer out if we do get people that inquire about our program.
Thank you.
How many students have taken the GED program with you?
You mean completed it?
Yes, or
I
are
think
currently
we're up
enrolled?
to 8. We
Okay.
have 20 enrolled now.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a question about that as
Yes.
well. Is there a pretty good, I mean, I noticed you mentioned that you had to provide incentives in some cases, and I'm wondering what the retention rate is for the GED program. Do kids stay with it the whole time? Or?
It's really good. We're actually having an issue now where we think there might be kids that should be testing that are trying to stay in the program because of the support that we have. So we're trying to work through that, and we've actually instituted some additional incentives for testing, because they'll be like, we're not ready, but your scores are showing us that you're ready. So we're actually running into that, which we did not anticipate. But yeah, I mean, the good thing is that it's not just the financial incentives, there's other wraparound supports that we're providing to the students. So I think there's a mixture of both.
Thank you.
Good questions.
And is there a direct referral process from the school for students for that program and the
Yeah.
criteria they need to meet?
So we work really closely with the high school on this, and being at the attendance meetings is really helpful to do that. So there's very great communication between Mr. Payne and the counseling staff here around what might be a good fit for which student, and there's very close collaboration on what works there. But yeah, it's been, partnering with the district on this has been hugely helpful.
Anything else? Cool. Well,
Oh,
thank you so
very
much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, of
Yeah.
course. Sorry for the technical issues.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have a field trip presentation.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Janet Brust, and I teach English 10 and 11 here at the high school. And I would like to thank Dr. Pennyman for getting this on the agenda. I would like to take my 11th grade on a field trip to see The Great Gatsby on Broadway. Let's see, my next slide. We're going to take approximately 36 students and chaperones. We're going to go down to the city on Yankee Trails, which cost $2,300. But fortunately, we got 2 grants, one from the Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation and one from Hudson River Bank and Trust to pay for the transportation. This would only leave the students to pay $52 for the tickets. Our chaperones are myself, Mrs. Bencieri, Mrs. Manchok, and Mrs. Isles. It will be on Saturday, May 10th. We'll leave the high school about 8 a.m. We'll arrive in New York City about 11:30. We'll take the students to lunch. Then we'll head over to the show at the Broadway Theater. It's a 2 o'clock matinee, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Then we'll get them a little snack, and we'll head back to the bus, and we should be back at the school at 9. I think this is going to be a great experience for them, As you can see, we tried to give them that experience in the classroom. We had a Gatsby day. All the students got Gatsby hats, and the girls got little bandanas to wear. But I think seeing a Broadway show will be very valuable to our students. Any questions?
No? Sounds like a great trip.
Yep, I hope so. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have board reports. Start with the policy committee.
Great. I know I had said last week that we were going to put the first read of the promotion and retention policy on today's agenda. We actually ended up delaying one cycle on that because we got some feedback from our lawyers. So we did some more work on that policy today. We're sending it back for one more draft. So that's the update on that. What else did we do today? We took a look at the org chart one final time, which is on today's as a first read, which just sort of solidifies the roles that are currently in place. It doesn't make any changes. It just is the visual representation of what's there. And we took a look at what it will take to build our policy committee charter, just to kind of formalize some of our processes. And then on deck is code of conduct, grading policy, and refining the policy on creating policies to get very meta for everybody. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it all. Great. Facilities committee.
All right, good evening, everyone. So facilities committee, we met today at 4 o'clock, and we reviewed a number of topics that I'll go through. Personnel, we currently have an employee that's out on leave of absence. A temporary position will be passed on to Dr. Pennyman. Our maintenance mechanic will be retiring this summer. We've added a full-time custodian to the team that will replace the recent retiree. As it relates to our Smart Schools investment plan, otherwise known as the SSIP, currently Cheryl is helping us with the data entry into the portal. This will be presented later at an upcoming board meeting, the results from that data input. This project will cost $1.7 million, and this is in an effort to update our phone systems, Wi-Fi, cabling, our PA systems, mass notification, and cameras. Another topic we discussed was pool updates. On the 7th, we hosted the annual boat races in the pool, and Germantown districts attended. That sounded like a pretty cool activity there, and so we're hopeful to see some photos from that. Catskill Elementary, they use the pool during the winter, and we are also updating the website to reflect the schedule for public swims, so stay tuned for that. As it relates to the public information session, this was something that we discussed at our last meeting. We, with the help of Tyler, we've identified two potential dates to put that into effect. That would be April 29th and or May 13th from 5 to 6 p.m. And this will be hosted in the cafeteria here at the high school. Energia, Johnston Controls, and John Sharkey, who is our architect from Rhinebeck Architect, they will be present at those meetings to screen any questions that the public may have. In that meeting, you can expect to gather a better understanding of the scope of work, the photos, the designs, and the sorts, so stay tuned for that. We also talked about a comprehensive audit as it relates to the energy proficiency project. The CAE kicked off, the CEA kicked off meetings that will take place on the 14th of this month. This will establish an overall project timeline, generate a list of improvements, and give us a baseline of the financials and a final contract proposal. The plan is to execute the EPC contract in August of this year. There's also updates about the newsletter that'll be going out. Tyler will finalize that with Dr. Pennyman and Avi later this week. They'll be discussing a mailer that will be sent to all taxpayers with the information needed to inform them about the capital project and the anticipated updates. We have a few upcoming inspections as it applies to the asbestos triannual inspection. That's due this year. This is completed every 3 years, and here in 2025, we need to complete that. Also, a sprinkler inspection will be done in May at MC Smith in the junior high. We will also have to do lead testing in our water, in our drinking water. That also will be done later this season, but certainly before the end of the year. Our Office of Fire Prevention, there was a few changes. There is a new initiative from the governor as it relates to the heat bill, essentially, if the classroom is too hot, if it's over 88 degrees, students have to be removed from the classroom. If it's over 82 degrees, we need to take act. And so that essentially just means to cool the classroom so that the students are in a comfortable setting, as well as the faculty. We also have a building envelope being added to the BCS, which will involve the energy proficient project, and that is also state aidable. As it applies to our clean sweep, this will help the district. This is an effort to rid the district of any waste as it applies to chemicals, paints, things of that nature. That's something that's going to be taking place as well, and the paperwork that we have to submit to the state is due this month. And I believe that is all of my updates for the evening.
Thank you, and thank you to Tyler as well. Audit Committee.
The audit committee met April 3rd, along with Dr. Pennyman, the district finance team, with Mr. Pruser, the independent external auditor. The topic of the meeting was the issues of the district's financial statements and the auditor's opinion. He issued an unqualified opinion on the statements for the 23-24 school year. The statements are attached to the consensus agenda. The committee recommends the board approve it, and they'll be posted to the district website.
Great, thank you very much. That brings us to the community budget workshop.
Good evening, board. This evening, Ms. Ferry and I will present to you the draft of our proposed 2020. All right, thank you. All right. 2025 draft budget proposal. So our budget, the foundation of our budget, begins with the vision and the mission statement. And it's also based on our six keys of success. The 2025-26 budget philosophy is based around student-centered. It's student-centered, it's fiscally responsible, it's based on resource allocation, transparency and engagement, and long-term vision. And the Hudson City School is committed to developing a responsible, transparent, and mission-driven budget that reflects our core values, which are academic excellence, fiscal stewardship, and community partnerships. The 2025 budget at a glance is we want to maintain general fund programs, we want to create efficient systems of support, and we're proposing a tax levy increase of 3.55%. The objectives of the budget is to review the information that was presented previously. We're going to present a proposed budget expenses when rolled over that includes mandated and contractual obligations, and then we will present a proposed budget with adjusted revenue and expenses.
Good evening. My name is Christy Ferry. I am the new Executive Director of Business and Finance, and I started in this position 4 weeks ago in the middle of budget season. This presentation was created in collaboration with Cindy Rahome, who is also the interim business official. So this is a historical view of the expense totals, and you can see it started from the school year 2021 to 2022, and the increase that has occurred over the past years. If expenses are kept at the current level, there is an increase of 4.59%. This expense budget shows a slight decrease in expenses based on a reduction of staff through attrition, which is the retirements. It caused a 0.07% change. There is also a decrease in debt service. But as you can see, general support and transportation increased. And this created a $1,358,646 gap. With an increase of 3.55% tax levy, a decrease in foundation aid of projected 0.21%, $1,147,630 of assigned fund balance, and $335,350 planned use of reserves. The result is a revenue of $56,794,446. And you can see with this revenue, there's an increase of 2.14%. So what can contribute to the decrease of revenue? Sometimes the decrease in revenue is because of enrollment, which affects possible revenue. So here you can see a 10-year trend, and there's a decrease of enrollment. So this compares the estimated tax levy impact based on a possible 2% tax levy increase or 3.55% proposed annual tax rate. It's based on annual, the difference monthly, and the difference, annual or monthly. So an increase in revenue comparison based on 2% or 3.55% annual tax is an increase of approximately $2 to $4 a month Certain costs, like those required in New York State, must stay in place and can't be reduced. So to match expenses with expected revenue, the budget was adjusted by reducing spending in other areas. The instruction category, which includes things like teaching and classroom support, would need to be reduced, and the amount set aside for paying off loans, like debt service, also has to be reduced. But what can contribute to increase in expenses? Increase in transportation costs, increase in mandated services, and increase in health insurance and benefit costs. Some possible reductions to general expenses and instructions may include 4 teacher positions, 3 psychologists, 2 reading teachers, 1 speech pathologist, or 8 teaching aides. These are possible reductions in order to decrease expenses in instructions. What are some of the unknowns? At this time, the New York State budget has not been finalized, so that is an unknown. It's also unknown of federal funding in terms of grants for the future, and unknown is inflation costs for goods and services that everyone is aware of. And that concludes the budget presentation at this time.
When would you expect the state budget to be finalized? I remember last year was right in between this meeting and the meeting where we had to finalize the budget.
I don't have a projection. I mean, it was supposed to be April 1, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I believe, I thought I heard yesterday that the deadline was supposed to be maybe a couple days ago, but it's still not finalized.
Right. Okay.
Can you explain, there's an expenses by budget category slide that says expenses by budget category rollover, and it has a proposed budget for instruction of $27,565,000. And then on the last slide you just showed, it says 26,206. Not that one. There you go. There's a proposed budget
Yeah.
for instruction there.
Yep.
And then it's about $1 million less on the last slide. Is
Yep.
that, can you explain what the difference is there?
Yes, so this first slide is just representative when you take the 24-25 budget and you roll it over, but you increase everyone's salaries based on the contractual rates. So the decrease occurred because of removing of some of the retirements, but you would still have to replace them with other people potentially. So it created a slight decrease. So the total, if you look at the total, will still be $58,153,092. So if you look at this proposed budget decreased almost 5% in the instruction category, and then creating a total of $56,794,446, which is the same as the potential revenue that we're expecting to obtain.
So this instruction reduction is based on not replacing retirees in the district, you said?
No, this one is based on a reduction of these positions, or this amount of positions.
And are those repurposing positions, or are those layoffs?
Those are reductions.
So okay.
sorry, is the reduction in positions a trend that we've been seeing recently, or is that a completely new thing that would, for justice,
All districts in Columbia County and across the nation you'll be seeing reductions in every district in some capacity.
And that's unique to this year?
This is, well, since I've been here, we didn't reduce anyone last year, but there's a lot of variables that contribute to this. So.
And are those positions the only positions that are in flux or in possibility of being reduced?
Well, this is a proposal.
Okay.
There could be other positions as we continue, but at this point, those are the positions we're proposing.
Thank you.
So how did we get to this instruction number from the numbers we saw Sunday night, I guess? What's changed?
So the change is in the fact that so I think what was shared was the first one, which was this one with the 58 million, but that does not match the 56 million that we need for revenues. So the change is this is just a rollover, but
Okay.
the point is that there needs to be
Okay.
a
I guess that
reduction.
wasn't clear when I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're essentially right now trying to figure out where we're going to end up between the $58 million, which is a rollover budget, and this $56 million budget, which would result in reductions. And I guess my questions would be about, assigned fund balance and planned use of reserves. Are there other levers there that we can pull to use more of our savings so that we don't need to make such drastic changes right now and can take more time to make more of a long-term plan that gets us where we need to be over the course of a number of years instead of all at once?
You have the ability to adjust your assigned fund balance. However, it seems historically this is the trend to use assigned fund balance to balance the budget. However, as soon as you use all of it, there's none left. And so we're getting very close to a space where if we follow this trend, that's where we'll be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So but that is, of course, an option to work on
Mhm.
increasing the revenue.
Right. And do we know how much is available in the assigned fund balance right now?
We have that number. I don't have it. I can get that to you.
It was in one of the previous presentations, if we can dig for it. Is there a world, I think, I am uncomfortable with this many proposed reductions this late in the game for people to, from a standpoint of people being able to find other jobs, from impact on the district. Is there a world where we could look at using more reserves right now and then think about, I understand that losing COVID funding, potentially losing federal funding, I fully understand that we may have to have a long-term vision that has some reduction in staffing. But is there a world where I guess I'm wondering how we can further explore thinking about retirement and positions that sort of phase out in that regard rather than direct reductions in this moment in time?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What reserves are being proposed to be used here at the $335,000?
So that seems to be workman's comp reserves.
Okay. Is that our anticipated total cost for workers' comp next year, or?
I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
I prepared this with Cindy.
Okay. I'd also ask you to take a look at the tax reduction reserve. There's $550,000 that came from the Clark school sale, which was 2016, and by law we have to use it within 10 years. So it seems like the time we have to use it. So I think if nothing else, there's money there that we need to use. And as far as the expenditures go for the budget, looking at rolling it over and whatnot, is there a comparison of current year expenditures and how we think we're actually spending money right now? To inform whether we've got, pots that are sitting there available?
Because the audit was just finished last week, we're still working on closing those budget items in order to have a good number for this year's budget.
Okay. Interest income is another one, which I know it doesn't show up in the revenue, but it's in the rents, tuitions, and pilots line. We've been budgeting $100,000 a year, which, given the interest rate environment that's existed for the last 15 years, probably made sense. The 23-24 audited financial statements, there was $800,000 of interest. So it's just another item we should probably look at in terms of realistically budgeting the numbers.
I just pulled up the previous budget from 2 sessions ago, and the line here says that if we utilized $1,549,690, we'd have $4,350,000-ish remaining in fund balance, just for numbers that were in that.
That's approximately what we have. You're correct.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful, thank you. Well, I guess to start with the tax levy. Is everybody in agreement? Is everybody in agreement that, based on what we're faced with, we should be pursuing the 3.55%, which is the maximum levy allowable?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's
Yes.
important to do what we can to keep as much money in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's, I agree with it. I think it's important context that the district has been below the cap for a number of years. And, when it wasn't needed, it wasn't asked for. So I would think some acknowledgement of that. But I also think that the state created this artificial limit that doesn't necessarily relate to actual expenditures over the long term. So I would support going to the cap this year.
Okay, great. And then outside of that, I think we can always hope. Last year we were in a similar position, and the state budget came back, and we were able to secure more funds from the state. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Does everybody else agree with the idea of trying to identify other reserves and fund balances that we can use for this year's budget to try and limit the amount of reductions as much as possible? Okay. And then, and I think just in addition to that, it's really just, we need to come up with this long-term plan that allows us to track the budget expenditures over a course of years, not just from year to year, and really figure out ways to bring things like transportation down and renegotiate some of these contracts so that we can be spending money on things that are important and support people in the classrooms. And just to be clear to everybody else, the final budget will be, that the board needs to be approved, will be presented at the next board meeting, and we'll be all working very hard until then with our administrators and the rest of the board to try and come up with a budget that works for everybody. Anybody else have anything else to add? No? Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Could I ask one question?
Yeah, please.
I'm looking here at the previous, or one of the previous presentations for this budget, and I'm curious how the reduction in force, from what I'm looking at, went from 4 positions to that much bigger number that was up there.
Well, I think in the last presentation, we were looking at versions of that budget that spent a much higher version of our reserves, right? Wasn't that total budget closer to 58 million?
This has 1.5 million in reserves allocated.
Yeah. As opposed to the 300,000 that I think that was on there.
Right, yeah, so that's the difference.
So that's the difference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And does that indicate, I don't know, a preference in which direction we go to that this one
No,
was
I think
reported?
the administration is trying to show us different options so that we
Alright.
can have a constructive conversation and give them some direction about where we want them to go. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
nothing's final at this point, and the final budget will be presented at the next meeting. And, I think the only further point of clarification that would be helpful to everybody is that there's a difference between reducing positions and repurposing positions. So, we can find efficiencies by not replacing people as they retire, and still helps us reduce our costs overall. So those are the two different strategies that are being looked at right now.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. At this time, there is no need for an early executive session. Brings us to the personnel agenda. I'd like to make a motion to accept personnel agenda items A 1 through 10 and B 1 through 3.
Second.
All in favor? Brings us to the superintendent's report.
Good evening again. On March 28, we saw a great performance of Seussical in the elementary schools. So congratulations to all of the students and staff who worked diligently to prepare such a great promotion or activity. So tonight's Spotlights on Excellence, I'm going to present these Spotlight on Excellence to the 4th grade team at the elementary school. And the reasoning behind this is we have been working this year, Dr. KT and Marlena, the principals, just trying to really get our PLCs going. And the 4th grade teachers at MCSES has the best PLCs that we have seen thus far. They get it. Their PLC meetings are all about what PLCs should be about, looking at data, etc. And this is the reason for the Spotlight on Excellence. When we see across the district, we know of things that are happening and great things are happening, then we celebrate and we spotlight them. So first, Victoria Casiaro. Carrie Ann Daniel. Heather Holmes. Patricia Kinsey. Not here tonight. Tiffany Shumway. And Nicole Worden. And the other Spotlight on Excellence tonight goes to Augustus, or as we call him, Gus Ellsworth. Mr. Dr. Ellsworth goes above and beyond for us when we need to have our budget presentations at the different avenues across the district. He's right there. He's setting things up for us. He's making sure that they're available for us. When we need to have community meetings at the firehouse, et cetera, he's gotten things like that ready for us. So he's going above and beyond, and I just want to say thank you. This ends our spotlights on excellence for this week. So I'm going to start highlighting our students as we find out great things about them. So tonight, I'm highlighting 3 students, and we'll continue to do this at the board meetings going forward. I'm highlighting Olivia Mann, who was accepted to Clark Atlanta University. These are 3 of our seniors that we know thus far. So we will continue to reach out to the counselors and the principals and the families. They will let us know, and these are spotlights of great things that are worth celebrating in our districts. Romello Robinson was accepted to Morgan State, and he'll be majoring in electrical engineer. Wow. And then we have Halima Hatbani, earned outstanding financial aid packages covering in full cost to attend Cornell University. She was also accepted in Hamilton College and St. Lawrence University. And Romello's first choice was Morgan State, and he got into his first choice college. And Olivia Mann, when I spoke to her mom, she was so excited because I did obtain my master's at Clark Atlanta University, so we have that in common. So I've been having conversations with her about going to Clark Atlanta. So congratulations to our students, and I'm looking forward to be able to report on many more students in the upcoming board meetings. And last but not least, another celebration. We received a head of the class safety award from Utica. So we were one of at least 160 schools to receive this award. And the plaque is in central office. If you ever come to central office, you can just ask to see the plaque. It's all hung on the wall. And so we are very proud because this is for school safety and excellence. So this is Hudson Senior High School honored students, and it's called On and Poppin' event. So these were 299 students were celebrated. They were free from attendance issues, discipline issues, etc. So this was celebrating at the high school. And students were treated on and poppin'. So they were treated with popcorn on March 21st as a way of, to reward them who demonstrated exemplary conduct consistently. So students are worth celebrating. Any little celebrations that we can. It's the small wins. We have to continue to promote our district in a positive manner and promote the positivity in our district. And I'm going to keep doing this at every board meeting and in every publication that I can. So congratulations to our students and our staff that work hard to support them. So I did witness this. We had a visiting dancer, Baka Patel. So she performed Kathaka dance for the junior high in the cafeteria. And and I was down, I watched it, and then I saw some of the students participate with her. It was fun. Just some reminders, conversations with the superintendent, April 17th. We do have kindergarten screening that will be happening April 15th and 16th. And then we still have pre-kindergarten applications. So pre-K enrollment is alive and well. And now I'll have the department updates. Each department will give you a brief update, and we will begin with Dr. KT, followed by Ms. Ferry, then our Manager of Instructional Technology, Ms. Rabinowitz, and then Human Resources, Ms. Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, fourth grade team. Nice job. Woohoo! So I just wanted to reiterate the work that the fourth grade team has done. One of the things that came up at one of their PLCs is they're addressing the next gen standards. And they made some adjustments in the curriculum to reflect a standard that was not, that they found out, and this is what a PLC does. Through data, they find out what's going on, right? What's the problem of practice? And they found out that a particular standard was not being addressed prior to the assessments. And so they adjusted their curriculum so that particular standard would be addressed. And work like that is also being completed and done, not only in the fourth grade PLC, but at all the PLCs. They're trying to do address a problem of practice that pertains to their grade level and what they're seeing with their students. So the elementary school meets regularly, the PLCs meet regularly there, and I have attended various meetings where data is discussed, and then they analyze the data and come up with some solutions to problems of practice. So congratulations to the fourth grade team and all the other teachers that are working really hard to ensure that we address the issues that are happening at the elementary school. With that said, we have been very busy working with Ms. Peduzzi in trying to also elicit teacher recommendations for our Summer Scholars Program. Our Summer Scholars Program will begin July 7th and will end August 7th. And I would like to mention that this is a unique opportunity. I want to thank the board and Dr. Pennyman for supporting us with this program. We want to continue to have and ensure that the students have academic programs throughout the year, not just until June, but that they continue to learn in the summer when school is not in session. This program will also accomplish several things. It will strengthen teacher capacity in Tier 1 instruction because it will combine embedded professional development that teachers will be receiving every week into their teaching, and then that will carry over into the regular academic school year. We also want to achieve academic gains by having continuous learning going on, an extended school year, if you will, for our students. We're also preparing for the New York State assessments, and believe it or not, they're here, April 22nd and 23rd to be exact with the junior high school. They will begin testing on that day, on those 2 dates, and they will be taking the ELA on those 2 dates. Following the ELA assessment, the math assessment will occur April 29th and 30th. And then finally, they're testing on May 8th with the science assessment. At the elementary school, we will begin testing on April 29th with the science assessment, May 6th and 7th with the ELA assessment, and end with the math assessment on May 13 and 14. I urge the community to support us by having your children participate in these assessments as it helps us plan our educational programs, curricula, and instructional supports for our students. Also, please support us by giving your children plenty of rest during the times of assessments. Make sure they go to bed early, and a positive mindset. You know, continuously talking to them about this is not to punish you in any way, but to gain more insight into what you're learning and how we can support you as you continue to learn in school. Make sure that they also have a healthy breakfast in the morning. So yesterday we had our District Comprehensive Improvement Plan team meet, and this team is focused on adjusting and evaluating the progress of our DSIP plan. And so members of the DSIP came together, and I want to thank, first of all, the people that showed up. We had a really good meeting where each of the schools was represented, and they broke up into the 3 schools, and they looked at the 4 priorities that are outlined in the DSIP. And just to give you a sense of what the priorities are, they are related to PLCs once again, MTSS, social and emotional learning, and lastly, project-based learning. And so we looked at how are we doing in each of our schools with respect to those 4 priorities. We will meet again sometime at the end of the year to see how we did with those priorities for the 24-25 school year, but also to action plan for next year. And so that meeting will be forthcoming, and we will let everyone know when they will take place. Thank you, and that is it for the Teaching and Learning Department.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm going to speak about 3 brief updates. The first thing is the Blue Hawk Tech Talk, which is not a separate newsletter, but it's a section in the District Technology newsletter. We started it this month. You'll see different resources that we want to provide students and families and staff. So we're very excited about that. It'll be both in the newsletter as well as we'll post it on our website. And also the instructional technology coaches will post it on their internal newsletter in the website for them. Next, our District Technology Committee, which you may be aware meets regularly. We had our recent meeting last week. The committee discussed instructional technology recommendations for digital citizenship, gaming, and digital media. We also reviewed to make recommendations. We looked at the technology policies, and we're making recommendations to Dr. Penniman and the board for your consideration in the policy committee. We're also looking at an AI policy and plan, so that will be forthcoming. And lastly, with the technology committee, we're finalizing survey questions to provide to our students, staff, and families. We're going to send it out the rest of the spring, and we're going to keep it open through the summer to the fall. And then next year, we'll use that data to write our technology plan. We're very excited about that. And lastly, the team was involved in 2 grants that we applied for. One, as you may be aware from the last time I presented, was the Records Grant Part 2. And just to clarify from the last time we met, this grant will be used for digitization. We won't be using it to purchase software. It will be used to scan the records. And then ultimately, whatever format they're scanned in, we can look at a software program to read them. But meanwhile, the records will be easily accessible. So we're very excited about that. And that grant was submitted on March 24th, and we'll wait to see if we are awarded that grant. And then lastly, another grant that we're very excited about is called Connect All, and Connect All Program Capacity Grant. And that grant, if we are awarded that grant, would provide updated equipment, laptops, or devices, what we choose, with the teachers, for the teachers. Would also provide mobile devices, additional mobile devices for every classroom, and then also some professional development, and we'd hope to get an instructional technology coach for the elementary school. So our fingers are crossed, and that grant was submitted March 31st. So we hope to hear, and then once we know, it would be for next school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
now I'll turn it over to Shantae Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Brooks. I'm the Executive Director of Human Resources. I'm here to do a year-to-date report. So this is from the beginning of the year to currently where we are now, just to give you a little insight about what HR is working on, currently working on, where we're going towards. Just want to say, you know, we just have a lot going on. We just want to make you guys all aware. All right? So how do we get there? The 6 keys for school improvement. We all know what these are. Strengthen the instructional core, improve data-driven practices, promote a positive, inclusive school environment for all stakeholders, strengthen instructional leadership capacity, tiered approach to school support and intervention, increase monitoring and accountability. Human resources, oh, that kind of got a little funky. Sorry about that. Human Resources has a mission statement that we go by. The mission of the Hudson City School District Human Resources Department is to support the district's vision by cultivating a high-performing workforce that is committed to fostering academic success and student growth at all levels. We provide strategic and responsive human resource services that align with the district's 6 keys for school improvement, incorporating a tiered approach to school support and intervention to ensure targeted and effective support for all students and staff. So, so these are your 6 keys, and this is how human resources ties into the 6 keys. You may look at them and say, okay, they seem like they're instructional only, but no, we abide by them as well. So for the first one, it'll be strengthening instructional leadership capacity. I won't read all of this, but just give you a few words of how it connects to human resources. That key is to recruit highly qualified teachers and staff. Improving data-driven practices is collaborating with teaching and learning on professional development. Promoting a positive, inclusive school environment. That's when we do our HR huddles and we do onboarding and offboarding. Increase monitoring and accountability. That would be certifications, probationary appointments, tenure recommendations, fingerprints, mandatory trainings, and etc. Increase monitoring and accountability. Collaborating. I'm a little off. So I'm sorry. It's just the first one is really messing me up because I'm a perfectionist. So I'll just say that that's just kind of making me a little bit crazy right now. So number 5 is strengthening the instructional core. So that is collaborating with teaching and learning again to ensure adequate preparations for pedagogical and assessment practices as well as curriculum and knowledge. And number 6 is tiered approach to school support and intervention. And that's where we ensure schools are physically responsible with human capital. That's how human resources align with the 6 keys here in the district. So my team, I'm the Executive Director of Human Resources. Everyone knows Missy Noblin as a personnel clerk, and Tracy Gaffney is the Administrative Assistant to HR. There's a hiring process here in the district that we have redone and we have modified to make things more equitable and to make a smoother process. But this is just a simple tracking device that we use to let you know how we employ every employee here in the district. So it's not this person applies and we can hire him the next day. That's not what it is. We do an in-depth report and try to get everything that we need before they get to the board agenda. So that requires a lot of time and a lot of input from the candidates here. So this is the administrative track for certificated to get them employed here in the district. And this is also the hiring process for civil service. Now, when you're looking at civil service, there's a lot more forms that need to be completed that's mandated by local and state civil service laws and rules. So there's a lot of more forms that's added to this as well. We also provide postings out of the HR department, of course, for new and vacant positions. Just this year alone, it's an enormous amount. We had 156 postings created in our school district. That is a large amount compared to any other district. There's 71 of them was administrative and certificate, and then 85 of them was civil service. Offboarding. Now, this is something that we have incorporated this year as well. So you ask, how many people have left the district from 2024 to 2025 school year to date? It's 59. There was a question at the board meeting months ago that's asking, do we know why? Do we know why people are leaving? So we sent out 103 exit interview surveys sent out by email, asking old employees to fill it out so we can get a good gist of what was happening. We only got 9 back, and those 9 exit surveys will be here in this, you could click on here. I don't know if it's gonna do, oh, no, can't do it. Oh yeah, here it is. So these are all the surveys. We have taken out the names of the people, of course, but you're able to read some of the comments that was made. I shouldn't have done that, so how do I get back, right? Oh, okay, so it just goes, okay, there we go, I got it. So with that being said, since we only got 9 back from 103 exit interview surveys, since then I have incorporated exit interview, personal with me. That way I can get more in-depth questions, and I can get more in-depth answers, and we could also use that to kind of make our district a little bit better, get a sense of how we can improve in a district. So I think the surveys go to your email, they're not trying to hear it, they don't want to do it. So I think face-to-face interviews, I get a better understanding of what's happening with people, so I can kind of share this with the cabinet that understands what's going on. 2023 to 24, we had employee turnover of 14.7%. 2024-25 employee turnover is 16.3% to date. However, we're not proud about those numbers, so we're going to try to do something to decrease those numbers, and that's our goal here in Human Resources. Another aspect of Human Resources is that we work with Questar to figure out what workshops is needed, and we assign workshops in the beginning of the year for everyone in this district to take. However, everyone is not required to take all of the workshops. So here, we have about 360 employees here in the district, and those are the numbers that the workshops have been completed. I don't have the numbers prior to the years, but I did speak to the rep from Questar, and it was less than that. The reason why it's less is because in the beginning of the year, we need to provide a list of employees for the district by department so we know who needs to take what. This coming summer, that's what I'll be working on so that we can get an accurate number of who's taking these workshops, who's not taking these workshops, and ensure that they are taking the workshops because they're very important during the superintendent's conference day in the beginning of the school year. So over the summer, we're going to be working on a few things to just make sure that this is done during the onboarding process. Another thing that we didn't know is that when people are hired throughout the district, throughout the school year, after that September 1st date, they weren't assigned the workshops. So that's going to be a part of our onboarding process as well, so that everyone has that ability to take these workshops, and that's important. This year, New York State Department of Education mandated everyone to take a reporter training that was due and completed by April 1st, 2025. Out of 185 certified personnel, or people, I'm going to say people who needed to take this training, because everyone is not necessary to take the training, so it's not the entire district. It's listed by schools about the completion of those trainings. This is something that I really enjoy, and then we have an HR huddle, and this is a place where we work towards enhancing an environment throughout the district of collaboration, communication, accessibility. We started this in November 2024. This allows for people to have access to HR without walking through district, without making an appointment. They just have a question. Nothing really personal is spoken at this time because it is an open area. We want to keep everything personal. You know, we'll tell them to make an appointment, or I'll get their question and I'll email them back. So it's just really an open place. Once a month we go to the elementary building, and then another time in the month we go to the junior, senior high school conference room. We hear suggestions, concerns, issues, inquiries about payroll, staffing, FMLA, the morale of the district. So people really get to talk on in these huddles. They just want people to feel where they are, how it's going, and I think it's a really important piece of the puzzle to just unite and have that communication between the district and the other buildings. This is an initiative that I've taken on. I was reached out by a friend of mine at Mercy University, and this is an initiative to have teaching assistants to become special education teachers. So we had our info session yesterday. We had 7 people that were interested, but there is a caveat to this, which they cannot have a bachelor's degree already. They need to have GPA of 2.5 from a community college. They need to have an associate's degree. So there's a lot of things that's in it. If you click on the Hudson City one-pager, this will give you a little bit more information about the requirements. That's not gonna work right now. But I'm sure if you do it from your desktop, you will be able to see, it gives you all the information about the requirements, what is offered, and what it does is it allows teaching assistants inside of a classroom to work with students with disabilities. While they're working, they submit portfolios, and while they're doing it, and they submit a portfolio once a week, and they go to classes in the evening time. So they can do this both ways, and this is a way of showing professional growth of people who have kind of like a tendency to not know where to start, and it's a guided program, and it's a collaboration between Bloomboard, and Mercy University and Hudson City School District. Coaching, lifeguard licenses, and certification. So all employees must have CPR, AED, and first aid training. That wasn't the issue here in the district. Everyone did that, and they took a really good count of that. Where we got into an issue is that we had a lot of coaches that were not certified. And in order to get certified by New York State Education, you needed to take a course, and you needed to kind of really do your certification. So what that impacted a lot of our coaches. Teachers that are coaches are not impacted by this. They're automatically granted and grandfathered in. They don't need to get an additional certification, but outside people do. And that's for safety for our own students here in the district. So we have 19 teacher coaches, 19 non-teaching coaches, and 4 volunteer coaches, which we help and supported day by day, sitting down with them, helping them sign on, helping them get a teach account, helping them understand what certification they need to take. They had to pay a small fee. And this helping tracking them with our regional coordinator friend over at Questar. So we kind of help them all. Officially now, they're either all licensed or they're on the verge. Maybe like 2 is on the verge of still getting it. They have some things to do. But currently right now, all of our spring coaches are good. Now we're starting to work on our fall coaches and our winter coaches for the next following year. Other licensures that we work with side by side is occupational therapists, physical therapists, OT assistants, registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, licensed master social worker, licensed clinical social workers, and speech language pathologists. They have to stay registered with the state. That is something they do on their own, but we help them, support them to remind them of their dates that's coming up and the expiration dates and so forth, just to keep them aware so they don't fall out of licensure. We also do workman's compensation and FMLA. So in 2024, we have done over 49 total cases filed for workman's compensation. For FMLA, we've had 14 total cases filed. In 2025, year to date, we've had 9 total cases filed for workman's compensation and 6 total cases filed for FMLA. I'm not gonna go into the steps, but I will tell you this, it is a lot of steps that happen with this, and there's a lot of counting that happens with this. Not only do we have to get the application and upload it, but we also need documentation. Then we're counting days, then we're counting how the accident's happening, or now we gotta talk about time and leave. So we work really hard with the business office to ensure that payroll and time and leave is accounted for. EAP. Employee Assistance Programs and Self-Help Member Resources. So here we have a district who is not really utilizing all of it, and that's something that I'm gonna work on this summer to try to get it out there. They do have a new mobile app that's accessible for employees to use, and it really focuses on giving them little kind of classes and meditations on social, emotional health and wealth. So that is pushed out this year as of January, and I'm working with the coordinator for the EAP program to bring some supports here into the buildings, into the districts, so that we can be accessible as well. As you can see, our district utilizes a lot of the services by legal. Legal is one of our leading ones. It's 42.42%. Employee well-being, 15.15%. HR supervisor, that's 3%. Lifestyle changes, benefits, 15%. Personal finance education center, 9%. Wellness center, physical health, 3%. Workplace, 12%. So we're using it, and it's working well. But we're just going to just try to make sure that it's more accessible and it's more noticed and it's easier access to get to. I also go to recruitment fair. I went to the recruitment fair at SUNY New Paltz University this year, March 19th. This fair is an opportunity to connect with over 200 teaching candidates for current and potential teaching vacancies anticipated for the 2025-26 school year. They all have education certification programs in their curriculum from New Paltz, Mount St. Mary's, Bard College, and Marist College. I was able to pre-select 18 candidates to interview. There were 6 candidates that was qualified and ready to commit to Hudson. This happened prior to the budget. So I just want to say that. This is not what we're doing right now, but it was a great opportunity. I know how to prepare for it next year. We already, we're on a map. People are really interested in Hudson. I bought them so many things from Hudson, from the town center, just to explore our town, and people didn't know really too much about it. So it was really interesting day, and I really had a really good time connecting with other people and learning how to move it about to get qualified candidates to come to Hudson. So we had a HR winter break potluck. So this was a week where we had a lot of moving and people were like kind of tired. So we did like a little potluck here, and it was really successful. It was a really great team building exercise. If you click on this, you'll be able to see a lot more pictures, and it won't happen again here. But if you click on that, you will be able to see a bunch of people enjoying each other, having conversations, team building, and we had different departments there, so we were able to talk and collaborate and get to know one another without the restrictions of work, but just, food makes everyone happy. So we had a really good time there as well. Items that have been addressed are ongoing all the time. Board agenda reorganization, hiring process. If you click on a link, that will be there as well. FTE status of the district, organization of the interview process, time and leave issues, labor relations, employee evaluations, school front district digitalization, WNCAP, input of information to improve the efficiency of school business and human resources operations, and webpage updates. These are just going to be ongoing as we go, as we get better and we learn more. And then collaboration appreciation to the Board of Education members, thank you. My colleagues, executive cabinet members, thank you. Technology department, buildings and grounds, building administrators, business office, student services, and the faculty and staff. They will let me know what they need. They will let me know what they want. And I think it's really important to be that listening ear to the ground. So I just want to thank everybody for the presentation and sitting patiently. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude the updates?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The business office was a budget
Yep.
presentation.
Great. Let's see.
We have Laura Bender.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. Under state and federal privacy laws, we're unable to entertain any comments about school personnel. Each speaker has 3 minutes.
Hello again, everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
I wasn't intending to speak tonight, so apologize for my use of phone. I was just typing up some things to get ready. In each step of the budget development process this year, you've stated that your goal is to minimize the impact on students as we try to close the budget gaps. However, it hasn't gone unnoticed that the first solution presented are proposed cuts to our instructional staff. These proposed cuts to teacher positions, support staff, and student services seem to do the opposite of minimize impact to our students. These cuts will directly harm them. I know that teachers, counselors, and support staff are essential for providing individualized attention and care for our students that they rely on. Students need them to help meet their goals. For example, we've identified that students in our district need assistance in reading, but we're proposing cutting reading teachers. I'm having trouble connecting the dots. Every student deserves a teacher who has time to provide individual instruction, a counselor who can address their emotional well-being, and an aide who can help bridge the gaps. As many members of the board have already expressed tonight, and I thank you, I urge you to reconsider these instructional cuts and find alternative solutions that truly prioritize the well-being and success of our students. Thank you again for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we have Usha Berlin.
In the second session. You're in the second session.
Can we?
It's okay. We can just
We
do
can have
everybody
people
now.
go in the first session. I don't think anyone meant to sign up in the second
that's
session.
fine. Hey, we can do all the speakers now.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm glad that I went second. Thank you, Ms. Bender. I want to echo what she just said. That slide that popped up, I wasn't intending on speaking until I saw that slide. It's really disturbing to me that we're going for teachers and aides especially, and psychologists. We saw that presentation about how many kids are in these programs with incarcerated parents. We need these issues to be addressed for our students. Also, it's very confusing to me that a few years ago, the assistant superintendent position was cut, and the reason given was that we did not need that position for such a small school district. And since then, from where I've been sitting, we've hired a lot more administrative positions, and we've hired a ton of consultants. And I'm just so curious to know how much these consultants are being paid by the hour compared to an aide, compared to a teacher. The teachers and the aides are the heartbeat of our school. They're the ones who they've got their boots on the ground. They are dealing with our students every single day. And for all the talk about the 6 pillars being all student-centered, it just seems contradictory for us to start talking about cutting teachers, cutting aides. I really, really hope that this board will evaluate this budget as presented before it's voted on at the next meeting. I don't have a problem paying more taxes as long as I think that this administration and the board are being good stewards of our money. And I just really, really hope that you will take another look at this budget and really start questioning all the positions and where other cuts could potentially be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, really, I didn't plan to talk as well, but I was stirred by what I saw up on the board. I agree with both of the speakers that came before me. You know, I took a look, I didn't make the last meeting that was on the 25th, but I read what was talked about. And, you know, somehow I feel that the cart is before the horse here. We're going to spend money on LED lighting, on wraparound for the school. You know, I don't know the particulars, but when I think this is a school for students, this is not a corporate building, that's where our concern should be. You know, what are we doing for the children in this district? Less teachers, less psychologists, less speech pathologists. I thought that's the heart of a school, not the administrators. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I recognize that the presentation recognized the positions as being reductions, not necessarily being layoffs, or they could potentially be repurposing certain positions and stuff. But I would like to emphasize the fact that specifically with aides, that number of 8 seemed very surprising to me. And I would like to say, as the student representative to this board, any less teacher aide is a detriment to a student's experience in this building. Aides are already, I think, an understaffed position within the district. And our aides are wonderful, and they do a great job at supporting and bettering students' experiences. And again, that number of 8 just seemed very, just really shocked me. I don't want, I would like to hope that those positions would be repurposing and potentially giving more, responsibilities to certain positions. But again, those numbers seem very high to me, and I would hope that the board reconsiders those numbers a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Leslie? All right. Thank you, everybody, for speaking. Brings us to new business. This is a district organizational chart, which, based on conversations in policy committee, I think needs another pass. Do you agree? All right. So we're going to table it. Some just questions on where lines are drawn. Brings us to the consensus agenda. I make a motion to approve consensus agenda items A through H.
Second.
All in favor? Nobody else signed up for public participation. Brings us to board discussion. Anybody have anything else to add?
Do we know the last date in which we have to approve the budget for the ballot?
It's the next meeting.
Well, the next meeting is the next scheduled meeting, but is there a drop dead date?
It has to be filed by, am I correct, April 25th with the state?
Let's say 25th or 28th.
Okay.
Yeah. So, obviously we can continue to, if we need to have special meetings, we can have special meetings to try and push it forward. But obviously want to get it into a better place. Anybody else have anything to add?
On a positive note, I would add that I had the, maybe privilege isn't the right word, but of chaperoning the 4th and 5th grade dance put on by the PTO last Friday at MC Elementary School, and I think there were 98 kids who signed up, and so just shout out to the work that our parent-teacher associations are doing this year to bring, money, but also just lots of joy and screaming to our children on a Friday night.
Sounds like fun. All right. Important dates. The following meetings are scheduled. Policy Committee meeting Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the high school library. Board of Education meeting, including Questar 3 annual budget vote and election, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Policy Committee meeting Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, 5 p.m. in the high school library. Special Board of Education meeting, including budget hearing, Tuesday, May 6th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. This time there'll be an executive session. Make a motion to enter executive session at 7:50 p.m. for the purposes of discussing the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Second.
All in favor? There'll be no further business after this executive session. Thank you all for being here.